Hey, everybody, and welcome to our deep dive today. We are going to be tackling something that has a huge impact on all of us, the people we surround ourselves with. It's like our personal ecosystems, right?
Absolutely. And you know what's fascinating is how these relationships, even the seemingly casual ones, really shape who we become. And it's not just the big moments, but the day-to-day stuff too.
Totally. Okay, so let's get right into it. I've been thinking a lot about this idea that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And if that's true, we better choose wisely.
Absolutely. And, a powerful way to think about this is through the lens of who to embrace and maybe who to create a bit more distance from in our lives.
Interesting. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about naysayers.
Uh-huh.
You know, the folks who always seem to find the cloud in every silver lining.
They can be like a bucket of ice water on your burning passion. Imagine this. You're fired up about a new project, brimming with creative energy, and then someone throws doubt all over it. Their pessimism can literally feel like it's dimming your fire.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. It's like that friend who tells you your business idea is way too risky, or that you're dreaming too big with that promotion you're after. It's subtle, but their words can really chip away at your confidence.
And that's the danger. When we start listening to those voices too much, our mindset shifts from, I can achieve this, to, what if I fail? It can be paralyzing.
So how do we deal with these naysayers? Do we just cut them out of our lives completely?
Not necessarily. It's more about recognizing their impact and setting healthy boundaries. You can still listen, you can still acknowledge their perspective, but decide how much weight you give their opinions. You have the power to choose whose voice truly matters in your journey.
I like that. That's a game changer. We don't have to absorb everyone's negativity.
Exactly. And remember, the flip side is just as crucial. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who fan the flames of your passion. They're like a gust of wind propelling your fire higher and brighter.
Okay, I love that analogy. So it's about minimizing the negative influences, A&D actively seeking out those who lift us up.
Now, there's another group that can be a bit of a sneaky roadblock, even if they're not outright negative. They're the ones who are content with the status quo, with staying comfortable. I like to call them the growth resistant.
So we're not talking about mean-spirited people here, but more like those who are just kind of stuck.
Right. They might be lovely people, even well-meaning, but their energy can subtly pull us down without us even realizing it. You know that saying, don't join an easy crowd, you won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. It's a reminder that we need to be intentional about who we spend our time with and whose energy we allow to influence us.
It's like choosing to climb a mountain with a team of motivated climbers versus hanging out at base camp with folks who are content to just sit around.
Yeah.
If you want to reach the summit, you need to surround yourself with people who are also driven to climb.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So we've got the naysayers who try to dim our fire,
Yeah.
and the growth-resistant folks who might unintentionally hold us back. What's next?
This one might seem obvious, but it's worth emphasizing dishonest and untrustworthy individuals. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It's just not going to last.
Right. We all kind of know that deep down.
Right.
But why is it so important to steer clear of them when building our circle of influence?
Because trust is the bedrock of any strong relationship, both personal and professional. Think about it. If you're constantly second-guessing someone's motives or questioning their integrity, it creates a ton of unnecessary stress and anxiety.
Not to mention the potential consequences. Damaged reputations, lost opportunities, even broken friendships.
And beyond the practical fallout, it impacts our mindset. Being around dishonesty can breed cynicism. We start to question everyone's motives, and that's no way to live.
It's exhausting. So how do we build a circle based on genuine trust? What should we be looking for?
Well, actions always speak louder than words. Pay attention to whether people follow through on their commitments, are consistent in their behavior. Look for patterns over time. It's not about being judgmental. It's about protecting your own well-being.
And on the flip side, we should actively seek out those who embody integrity. Right.
Absolutely. Look for people who are transparent in their dealings, whose actions match their words. They're the ones who will help you build a solid foundation for a fulfilling life.
Okay, so we've covered negative influences, the danger in complacency, and the importance of integrity. What other types of people should we be mindful of when building our circle of influence?
Well, there's one more dynamic that I think is worth exploring. Self-absorbed individuals. These are the folks who tend to make everything about them.
Oh, we've all encountered them. The friend who only calls when they need something, or the coworker who always manages to steer every conversation back to themselves.
It can be incredibly draining. It's like trying to row a boat with only one oar. You're putting in all this effort, but you're not getting anywhere.
Oh, that's a good one. It perfectly captures the feeling of constantly giving, giving, giving without receiving anything in return. It's a one-way street.
Yeah, and you know what? It can really chip away at your self-worth over time. It sends the message, subtly or not, that your thoughts and feelings aren't as important.
So how do we handle these situations? Do we just cut ties with those people altogether?
Sometimes open communication can shift the dynamic. You can express how you're feeling, set boundaries, and see if the other person is receptive.
Right. Maybe they're not even aware of how their behavior is impacting others. Having that honest conversation can be a real eye-opener.
It can, but sometimes, no matter how much you try to communicate, the other person isn't willing to change.
And in those situations, it might be necessary to create some distance, right? To protect your own energy and well-being.
Exactly. You deserve to be in relationships that feel balanced and mutually supportive.
This is really making me think about my own circle and the types of energy I'm allowing into my life.
And that's the goal of this deep dive, right? To empower you to create a circle of influence that supports your growth, your happiness, and your success.
This has been incredibly insightful so far. I'm already feeling inspired to take stock of my own relationships and make some adjustments.
And that's what it's all about. Taking ownership of our social ecosystem and making choices that align with our highest aspirations.
All right, so we've talked about some of the types of people you know who can kind of subtly drain our energy and hold us back. But there's another side to this, isn't there? It's not just about who we surround ourselves with, but also how WE show up in those relationships.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Every relationship is a two-way street. We need to be mindful of the energy WE bring to the table as well.
So it's not enough to just be, selective about who we let into our inner circle. We also need to be intentional about how we contribute to those connections.
Exactly. It's like, are you the friend who always takes but never gives? Or the coworker who's constantly complaining but never offers solutions?
Ouch. That's a tough question to ask ourselves, but I think it's crucial to be honest about our own role in the dynamic.
Because here's the thing. When we're constantly surrounded by negativity, or when we're not pulling our weight in our relationships, it creates a kind of energetic drain on us as well.
It's like our own inner fire starts to flicker and dim.
And that can spill over into every area of our lives, our work, our relationships, even our overall well-being.
So what's the antidote? How do we create that kind of positive flow, that sense of mutual support and inspiration?
It starts with being intentional about the energy we bring to our interactions. It's about shifting our focus from what we can get to what we can give.
Okay, so instead of constantly looking for what others can do for us, we focus on how we can support and lift them up.
Exactly. Think about the people you truly admire, the ones who seem to effortlessly attract success and happiness. What qualities do they embody?
I'm thinking of people who are genuinely kind, who are amazing listeners, who are always willing to lend a helping hand without expecting anything in return.
And notice how those qualities have a ripple effect. When you're around someone who's genuinely kind and supportive, it inspires you to be kinder and more supportive as well.
It's like their positive energy is contagious.
And that's the beauty of reciprocity. When we focus on giving, on being a source of encouragement and support, it not only lifts others up, but it nourishes our own souls as well.
I love that. It's like we're all interconnected, and the energy we put out into the world ultimately comes back to us tenfold.
And it's not about being perfect or always having it all together. It's about showing up authentically with a genuine desire to connect and contribute.
So being mindful of the energy we bring to our relationships is just as crucial as being selective about who we let into our inner circle.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture of mutual support, of growth, and of inspiration. And that's something we all have the power to do.
This reminds me of something I heard recently. You can't succeed by yourself. It's hard to find a rich hermit.
That's so true. Our connections with others are essential to our growth and our success.
So it's not about isolating ourselves and trying to do everything on our own.
It's about finding our tribe, the people who challenge us, support us, and inspire us to be our best selves.
And building a strong, supportive circle takes effort, right? It's not something that just happens overnight.
It does. It's like tending a garden. We need to nurture our relationships, be present, communicate openly, and invest our time and energy.
And sometimes it means letting go of relationships that no longer serve us, even if it's difficult.
That can be tough, but it's essential for our growth. We have to create space for the people who align with our values and our vision for our lives.
So it's a constant process of evaluating, adjusting, and making sure our social circle is supporting our highest potential.
Exactly. And remember, building a strong circle of influence is an investment in your future.
It's about creating a foundation of support that will help us weather any storm and achieve our wildest dreams.
And that's something worth putting in the effort for.
Okay, so we've really been diving deep into this idea of our circle of influence. We've talked about the people who can drain us, the importance of being mindful of our own energy and how we show up in our relationships. But now I think it's time to get really practical.
I agree. Let's talk about what we can actually do to start building a circle that truly lifts us up and supports us.
I like it. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think it starts with taking a good hard look at our current relationships. Who are the people you spend the most time with? And more importantly, how do those relationships make you feel?
It's like taking an inventory of our social circle.
Exactly. And it's about being brutally honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Are there any relationships that consistently leave you feeling drained or negative?
It can be tough to admit that, especially if it's someone we care about. But sometimes those are the relationships that require the most attention. Maybe it's having an open and honest conversation about your needs, or maybe it means creating some healthy distance.
Right. And it's important to remember that you deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not drag you down.
Okay, so we've talked about kind of weeding out the negative influences.
Hmm.
But what about cultivating the positive ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about the people who light you up, the ones who make you feel seen, heard, and valued. Make a list of those people and then brainstorm ways to deepen those connections.
So maybe it's scheduling regular coffee dates or phone calls, or even just sending a quick text to let them know you're thinking of them.
It's the little things that often make the biggest difference.
And of course, we can't forget about the power of expanding our circle, right? Getting out there and meeting new people who share our interests and values.
I love that. Join a club, volunteer for a cause you're passionate about, take a class, anything that gets you out of your comfort zone and connecting with new people.
You never know where you'll find your next great mentor, friend, or collaborator.
So true. And I think the final piece of this puzzle is remembering that building a strong circle of influence is an ongoing process.
It's not like we just find the perfect group of people and then we're done.
Exactly. It's about constantly evaluating, adjusting, and nurturing those connections.
And being open to new people and opportunities as they come along.
You got it. And remember, you have the power to create a circle that truly supports you, lifts you up, and helps you achieve your wildest dreams.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I'm feeling really inspired to take all of this wisdom and start making some changes in my own life.
Me too.
Yeah.
And remember, you're not alone in this. We all have the power to create a circle of influence that empowers us and helps us become the best versions of ourselves.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.